This video are for those who want to 10x their wealth and not wait 30 years to do it. When it comes to investing your money, there are a lot of different opinions on how to best do it. But I'm not here to give you the old, boring, conventional advice of saving 2 to 3 months of emergency expenses and pay off your high interest debt. Sure, that is definitely important, but you've already heard it 1,000 times already. So in today's video, I'll share my version of an optimal order investing for multiple streams of income, because most millionaires have 7 sources of income. I'll also share, in my humble opinion, the optimal order investing for kids. Now, I have no courses to sell. There's no Lamborghinis. I'm just going to share what's worked for me. Now, just to be clear, some of these ways are not going to work for you, and that's okay. That's why you're watching today's video, so that I can help guide you in your decision-making process. I'll share what I've done and what's worked for me if I had to go back in time and build multiple streams of income to 10x my wealth in less than 30 years. Now, if I had to go back all the way in time, and my goal was to still buy my first home, the 2 accounts I would completely max out is the first home savings account and the registered retirement savings plan. Now let's start with the FHSA, which is the first home savings account. Did you know you could contribute $8,000 over a period of 5 years, maximum contribution 40 grand, and use that towards your first home? Now how this works is contribute, for example, 8 grand in 1 year, and if you made an after-tax income of 50 grand, you could take that 8 grand and subtract it off your after-tax income of 50K. So then you would be paying less taxes and contributing to your first home. Now the maximum contribution is 40K, but if you don't contribute it this year, that's okay, because that could be carried forward. But please keep in mind, the first home savings account can only be used to buy a home. Now, the other account is the RRSP. Now, did you know that RRSP can be converted to a home buyer's plan, which is simply speaking money that you put in and you could take it out and put it to your first home, and it's considered a 0% interest loan. The only caveat is if you decide to withdraw money from your RRSP towards your first home, you have to repay it back to yourself over a 15-year period. But it's 0% interest. Versus the FHSA, if you contribute money into it and withdraw it towards your home as a down payment, you don't have to repay it back, unlike the home buyer's plan. Now, the next step is I would take that down payment and I would go search out for a duplex, a triplex, or any starter home in your city. That could be a condo, a townhome, but there's like extra space, whether that's an extra room, there's a basement, or there's a separate unit. But the point is to have extra space so that you can rent out that space and offset the biggest expense in your life, which is mortgage payments. Now, if you could do that, this is game changing. If you can live like a student and have roommates or tenants and sacrifice a bit of your privacy in the beginning stages of your life, this is going to set you on a course for success, because you'll have more money, more income that you can use to invest and compound and become a millionaire. Of course, not everyone's lucky, and you may not have that down payment to quite afford that duplex or the triplex. That's why I want to share a story. I have a friend that recently had the same situation, and all she did was beg, borrow, but not steal, ask her parents for additional money, and she made a deal to split the profits. I also did the same thing. My brother, living in Vancouver, had massive student loan debt, but there was an opportunity to buy a starter condo in Vancouver during the financial crisis, and he didn't have any money, but I made a deal with him. I gave him the down payment as long as he split the profits of that condo with me when he sells. So my point is, you may not have the down payment, but you may have relatives, family that could help you offset that down payment. And all you need to do is split a little bit of the profits back to that person and make it a win-win situation. Now, the next step I would do, because now that I've offset my biggest expense in my life, which is mortgage expenses, you probably have some extra moolah. So I would take that money and start automating it and contributing to my tax-free savings account. But be careful, you must invest that money. Most people probably let that money just sit in a guaranteed investment certificates. Don't worry, I also did that. So sad. Or worse, you're just letting it sit in a high interest savings account and doing nothing. Please invest in that money and just invest it in some boring index fund like the S&P 500, which you could buy 500 of the biggest companies in North America. Personally, I like VOO and VFB, the ticker symbol for S&P 500. And if you have US money, you could buy VOO. If you have Canadian money, you could buy VFE. And then just let it compound over time. Now, sure, you're probably thinking,
how do I come up with that extra moolah?
Well, just think of it. If you just saved $16.67 a day, that's $500 a month, tad over $6,000 a year, and you do that every single year, well, guess what? You're going to be a millionaire in no time. But of course, today's video is about not getting rich super slow. Let's talk about, again, 10xing your wealth in less than 30 years. Now, the next step is I would wait 2 to 3 years and start also saving a good down payment. Now, remember, you're house hacking and you're offsetting your mortgage expenses, you're contributing to your TFSA, and you probably have some extra moolah. So you could use this and buy your next starter home, because typically in your early stages of life, you're unlikely to buy your dream home. And please make sure to just postpone that decision until a little bit later. Your future self will thank me. Now, if this seems completely unrealistic, you're like,
how am I supposed to save for a down payment for another home?
Well, here's a quick hack. If you have a partner, a husband, you have no kids, and you're living under your means, you could possibly live off of one income. Is there a way that you could live like a student again and live off of one income and have the other income, or the majority of the next income, investing into assets? When I started out, my husband and I made about the same amount of money, which is $60,000 a year. We decided to live off of one income. Again, this is 60 grand before taxes, which is actually a lot less. But because we had no kids and we lived under our means, we were able to do this for at least 10 years. It's gonna hurt your ego not being able to buy that fancy purse and that sports car because you're young and you wanna look like an Instagram worthy model. But seriously, if you really want to 10x your wealth and create multiple streams of income and, well, get time freedom early in life, then you definitely just want to hold the course. Now, the next step, after years of buying the right properties in the right location, in the right neighborhood, and attract the right tenants, you're probably going to gain some equity in your properties. So I would make sure to open a home equity line of credit, which is simply speaking a credit card against your homes. Word of caution, please don't use this HELOC to buy a sports car or pay for that vacation. This is your lifeline. There could be opportunities when there's a big, massive crash in the stock market, or real estate has dropped significantly in some cities in Canada, and you're like, you wish you had the money to pounce on that opportunity. Well, guess what? This HELOC, assuming is not high interest and you can afford it, could offer you a lifeline to leverage, if only you're comfortable doing so. For example, if you use the stock market and you were to invest in the bear market, which is when all the stocks are pretty much on sale, it's like you going shopping and just knowing your favorite clothing line is on sale. Well, that's the same with the stock market. And you could buy high quality companies at massive discounts. And if you were to do that every single time, you would have made a killing. Once you've done all that, you maxed out your registered accounts, and you still have some extra money because guess what? You're starting to create multiple streams of income. I would look at investing in non-registered accounts. Or if you have a side business or you own a business, incorporating. Because when you incorporate, it is such a huge reduction on taxes. For example, in a small business in Canada, if you make less than $500,000 of revenue, your taxable rate is 13% or less in Canada, which is crazy. If you don't have a business that you're running and you can't get incorporated, I would seriously consider a non-registered account and invest in dividend growth stocks, which are simply stocks that you buy and you hold on to and it pays you income every single year. Now, if you want to learn more about these opportunities, definitely watch this video up here and learn everything you can about investing in dividend growth stocks. Did you know if you are a Canadian and you invested in Canadian companies that pay dividends every single year, There's called the dividend tax credit, where you could potentially make 0% in taxes in your dividends. But the only caveat is you can't have any other sources of income. But just imagine, let's fast forward. You have kids, or you may have kids already, and you want to pass on some generational wealth. Well, for most people, that may mean passing on some cash or selling a house and passing it on to their kids. But with dividend stocks, you could just find a way to pass on that dividend income to your kids instead of selling the assets, and let that compound for decades and decades. As promised, I want to talk about the optimal order of investing. Assuming your goal is to buy your first home, the two accounts that completely max out is the FHSA and the RRSP, because both these accounts could be used towards your first home. I'd also contribute and max out as fast as possible to your tax-free savings account, because any money that's invested in this account could be grown tax-free, and you have ultimate flexibility in withdrawing it. After you max out your registered accounts, I would look at investing into non-registered accounts, whether that's in your own business, in your corporation, or just a margin account or a cash account that you can open up with any brokerage. Here's the optimal order of investing, in my humble opinion, for your kids. The first one is opening up a registered education savings plan, which is simply speaking money that you could plunk in and the government will pay you free moolah for contributing into this account. Of course, there's a limit, so please check the latest rules. The second one is once your kid starts working and makes some money through their summer jobs, I would file their taxes and help them grow their contribution room in the RRSP. I know this is going to be like a pain in the butt, but hey, do you want the best for your kids? I definitely do, and I'm going to take the time to file my kids' taxes so that they can start growing their contribution room really early. So imagine when they graduate from university, instead of having $0 in their RRSP contribution room, they could have thousands of dollars because you filed their taxes when they started having summer jobs. Now, if you want to learn more about investing for your kids, check out this video out here where I share everything I know about investing for kids. The next account is the TFSA that you can open up the moment your kid turns 18 and has a social insurance number. And lastly, if you still have extra moolah, you can invest in a formal trust account, which is simply an account that you open on behalf of your child and invest for him or her. And then when they turn a majority of age, that account could be transferred over to them and it'd be taxed at their hands. And by the way, if you want to learn more about investing for your kids and want to learn everything about that in Canada, well, I share all that and much more, including how to make them a millionaire in this video up here. Anyways, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.